Did you dance today again? You are on mute. And I know why you are on mute, because I probably am not. Let me send you I will send you on WhatsApp the stream link. Yeah, I just heard me, and you are still on mute.
I know. Thank you. Yes, a good thing too. I was yanking on the mic. I put it up here to get out of the way, and I still keep messing with it. But Joe, no, I didn't. I didn't get you. It wasn't me.
You did. I just heard me, man.
I swear. And I'm not even getting too crazy here, but no, man. Hey, we are back. Another week I feel like we were just talking yesterday. We had a guest last week. I see you got a little bit of updated background. I'm loving it. Switching. The vibes are good. How are you doing, friends?
I'm doing great. And just a shout out for my background. Is going to switch in just a second. Man, just before we get started, I just want to say this. There's so much craziness going on, so much hostility, between people on both sides of the border. I just want to say, man, peace and love.
Yeah,
I think we should have more thoughts on, loving each other than hating each other. So I know it's a very complicated topic, so I'm going to leave it there.
Yeah.
I just want to say peace and love.
Bro, I love it. And I'm not going to diminish that thought at all. I love that. You're going to get me on the soapbox if I start, because I don't think there's so much more love that could be in the world today, right? I firmly believe that. But this is high times, right? These are the vibes. This is the time that people get away from some of that crazy nonsense. And I don't think it's just us, right? It ain't just us this week, right, Joe?
No. Today, we are having another friend of mine, as usual.
Okay,
but, this guy, to be honest, let's do this. Let's bring him in, and then I will tell this story. But
okay, let's do it.
Today, drum roll.
Boom!
Hey, Vimo. Hey, Vimo, how are you, man?
Thanks, folks. Yeah, and I didn't expect that drum to go on. That's one of the finest welcome I had probably in many years. So
there we go.
Thank you for doing that.
Nice.
There has to be the drum roll.
He's getting better, too. He's getting better at the drum roll, I tell you.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, there is Vimo. And as I was saying, there is a very interesting story, because before we started talking about having the podcast, I was actually thinking about that already. I had this idea, the seed planted in my mind, and I planned to get it started. And Vimo was actually the first person that I asked, man, if I had the podcast, would you come? And he said, oh, of course I would.
Oh, nice. Wow.
But it turns out I started a podcast with you, and then things were rolling. And wow. Anyway, today, there's Vimo.
Still the guest.
Thank you for having me, Joel. Jeremy, it's definitely a pleasure, and I can feel the vibe. I can feel the vibe already. So how it's gonna be. So I would like to say that though it has been like the end of the day for today, like everybody may have their own stakes involved during the daytime. And at this point of time, when I see this much of energy in the welcome, your introduction, I really love it. So,
nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to remember this talk for a very, very long time for all good reasons. Very happy that I'm here already.
Oh,
That's nice. But Vimo, I know you quite well for a few years, but Jeremy and our audience, they don't know you too much. So why don't you introduce them, give a little bit of your background, what you do, what you like to do, what you love to do, what you are planning to do in the future. So give us some context.
Yeah, let's get it.
All right. So, I will try to keep it brief. At the same time, when we span our working aspects in various arenas, it's difficult to say like one single thing. I would like to call myself more of a solution provider. That's why I call it. There was a time when I completed my engineering. I get into the IT workforce like a regular guy. and still I continue doing what it needs to be done as part of an IT professional as such. But broadly, my mindset is more about solutioning, in originating towards something that is creative, something which makes value, some real use cases as such.
Yeah.
I've generated those aspects. Apart from that, I can also call myself as an educator.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so while I'm working in Thomson Reuters as and leading a service management aspects of a team which looks after the infrastructure, that would be like my daily day job, you can call it. I am also working with Georgian College as a professor over there.
No
So
way.
I do talk about cloud computing, machine learning, and related stuff, anything that is disruptive in nature. And apart from that, I have a great passion for community building. Joel is pretty much aware of it. So I have association with Google in terms of their Google Developer Group. So I'm co-organizer of that group in Toronto chapter,
Oh,
and
wow.
we conduct events, we host workshops. Uh, the average workshop that we do holds around 100 to 200 people in a classroom style, and
Wow.
when we do an event, it can go anywhere between 1,000 to 1,500, depending upon the nature of the event. So
Hmm.
these are three primary aspects which I am involved in, and yeah, it goes parallel with certain element of consulting and stuff as and when something is required. And
Yeah.
I am loving the idea of podcasts, so it's
Uh,
really
There you
lovely.
go. There you
yeah. So,
go.
man, I just want to touch on the Google Developer Group because I found that so impressive when I first saw. And what I saw was actually when my first event was quite small, and I found already impressive. But I remember the Google Developer Day you guys, hosted with over 1,000 people at George Brown College with, multiple rooms running parallel, a lot of people, major speakers from Google, from Thomson Reuters, uh, major speakers, very interesting sessions, very technical sessions, or more broader sessions. That was so amazing. And I actually had my
Wow.
daughter that day. She was so amazed as well. So,
Smart man. Have the daughter there with you.
yeah, but man, I don't know. Do you want to talk about more, your work with Google Developer, how that started?
I want
Because
to hear about that. Yeah,
you
I
have a very big
Dude,
community for
so communities. I
Yeah.
mean, there are like 12 different angles. I thought obviously when I saw it in the group chat, I was like, dude, there's gonna be plenty of questions about the developer community. But then we're talking about the professor thing. Like, I am so intrigued by this, so I want to dive into that. But I don't want to. But I'm not gonna forget. But so while the topic's hot, I would love to hear about this because Joe's got me intrigued now. So these kinds of events, what was one of these events? What's the one he was talking about? What was this event, Joe? What kind of event was this? What was the
was
topic
it
here?
Google Developer Day, I believe.
Oh, really?
Dev
It's like
Fest.
Dev Day, Dev
Yeah, yeah,
Fest.
yeah.
What's
Yeah.
like?
Oh,
What's it
Dev
like?
Fest, yeah.
What's it like to be a part of that? You hosted and were a part of supporting that event too, or?
Yeah, so that's one of the conference style events that we host in Toronto.
Oh,
So
wow.
we have multiple categories of events. One of the very prominent category is like workshops and stuff, where the idea is that any fine Saturday morning, we call out for people, and now since there are so many people associated with us, they turn up in the morning, and the commitment for the entire clan is that we'll walk out with something that significantly measurable,
Mm-hmm.
something. It could be a badge that we will earn that day, it
Yeah.
could be a certification that will complete, but we'll
Hmm.
complete something significant on the same day, and will be create a lot of value out of 5, 7, or 8 hours that you just spent. So that's a typical workshop style. And then we have some conference style events, which is pretty much what Joel was talking about, where we have speakers, we have panel discussions, we have
That's
knowledge
cool.
demonstrations, we have some women in tech specific talks around it. And we conclude the day with a lot of takeaways with a variety of activities. So those are like Google themselves have certain flagship event they do
Mm-hmm.
themselves.
Yeah.
That's like Google I/O. Then we
Mm.
have like something is very much upcoming in April, that is Google Next. Now, whatever they do that has to be reciprocated in different part of the world, which is practically not feasible that everybody can join those events themselves. So they get it done through people like us who volunteer for that activity in a way, and we organize similar in a similar agenda, similar fashion in our local chapters. So my local chapter happens to be Toronto. What it means is that anybody in Toronto, GTA, or anybody who can commute, for whomsoever it is feasible, they will be reaching out and they will have a similar experience, at least in terms of content and agenda, what it happened with Google. As a community chapter, we have to do it on our own ways. That's why there always be a flavor of what we are, but we try to align with certain agenda that Google has. Then it happens with flagship. DevFest is another flagship event, which does not Google does not do DevFest themselves. It is done through us. It's for community, and we get guidelines of what is expected broadly, like the end objective and where we want to focus on. But we get the leverage and the privilege to design our event by ourselves. That means we are able to pretty much formalize everything, small or big, how the event has to go through into those events. So that's one of our bigger event. However, our core USP is what we do in a study jam. So, once we'll progress more, I will. I guess you also asked about how it had all started, right?
Yeah. Where'd you get your start? Like, this is such a cool thing to be involved in. How long were you? How long have you been doing it? And how did you even find yourself doing that work in the first place?
So I will tell you the start was pretty much what we are doing right now. Like we three of us talking about something, and then some ideas does pop up. We measure the feasibility terms, and we start get kick started, right? So I will rather tell you the core thing that we were doing before in the similar format was the drawing room discussions. So I have my friend circles, and many of them out of all the different topics or the event topics we usually love to discuss. One was a definite common topic was anything that is happening around technology. So we were doing it anyway in a very close net in our drawing room, in chat rooms, in cafes and whatnot. Eventually, one of my friend, his name is Ram, and he got to know about this community chapter. He was already enrolled, and later on, when it started taking shape, like he was also trying to understand the point of time that this is something to give back to the community in the area of technology. So what should be done? So he spoke to me about it. Even to be honest, I was not much aware what is expected out of us and what we can do about it, but definitely sounded interesting. So I got on boarded on that. So then we two signed whatever NDA or documentation or contract was supposed to be done. Those things. After those formalities, we attended one of the event where similar chapters were conducting something just to understand what's happening.
Had you been in any chapters before that? Like, were you involved in any like tech chapters prior to this, or was this your first experience?
No, I was not associated with any chapter prior to that. Like
so this is your first
was part
dive,
of many. Yeah. Okay. And we after we got involved, we did attended some of the session just to understand how things would be functioning.
Yeah, sure,
and we got some idea on the baseline, and then we also started getting ideas. So we started with, and I guess the date I remember, the very first event we did somewhere 29th of January or something. And similar to this year, it was very cold at that time, the same ice.
It's like I remember because it was cold.
I remember it. I remember it because we hosted our first event. That means
at George Brown?
Yes, George Brown. So I mean, there's a lot of things to even tell how we converted our first event, like to make it happen, like finding a venue, logistics, and whatnot. But I'm cutting short some part of it for other day. But this piece I wanted to definitely mention our first event that we did. So we rolled it out, and we had certain traction on it. I guess 15-20 people enrolled for that talk or for that discussion, and it was just on cloud computing, stuff. And it was a very, very stormy, snowy day, and I can feel that because while even while walking for like 50, 100 meters, I felt okay. The air is just streaming through your screen. That was the kind of weather on
Oh.
that day. And we were wondering what should we do now, because even to cancel, we need to get in a room, right?
Yeah,
Even if we want to cancel the event.
Yeah.
And when we went to the venue where we had done all the setup, there was nobody at that point of time, and we were kind of deciding that, okay, of course this is not the right day. We should postpone it. And we saw like 2 folks walking in. Now we had another dilemma. 2 people have came in all this adverse weather. Shall we really cancel it? And we were 2 people, and we had 2 people in front of us where we had to talk about the subject in the format that Google Developer Group has to do. But we decided not to pull it off and value their time they have come, and that is what we communicated. We did exactly how it was intended for. The good part was they stayed with us for another 1.5 hour or 2 hour at the beginning, till closer. They stayed with us post that, chatting about this technology. Of course, it was not a podcast, so we were talking like a conference style room. But that gave us a lot of confidence, because even on such a bad weather, there are people, though 2 of them turned up and they stayed with us. Both of them were from non-technology. They had their, they did not choose to go because it was not their area primarily. They wanted to understand technology. And that gave us that definitely gave us a thought that it's not necessarily the technology folks. There are people all around in all domains who are very much interested to talk about it, learn about it. They have curiosity, they have questions in mind, and that needs to be addressed. That was our first event, and we took it more like a motivation. However, I tell this story all the time that in our first event we had only 2 people, right?
But having 2 folks in your first event in such adverse weather that is Canada, man, it's like 6 to 8 feet of snow outside, piled up in front of my house. And Canada is brutal. It's brutal during the winter. To get people to go outside to learn something new, it's something.
When I think about Canadian weather, I just think about the movie Alone. I don't know if the series Alone. Have you guys seen that? It's like
quite a few times.
That's like I
love that.
Obviously, that's not everywhere in Canada, but like that's what I think when I think of Canada. I think like maybe you're in a city, but 5 minutes later, that's Canada to me. And I'm like, dude, I can't. That cold and bro. I grew up. I told my son this the other day because I got a little bit pissed off. All right, I'm just gonna admit I got a little bit pissed off because you don't have a lot of chores, but you're supposed to take out the trash. You're supposed to get the trash. And it's cold, and I got mad the other day because he forgot to take out the trash, and the trash guy's coming, and it's like 20 degrees outside. It got cold in Texas. It's like 20 degrees. And
20 Celsius?
Sure. Is that cold? Is that colder than 20 Fahrenheit?
Oh, no. It's much hotter.
Okay, 20 Fahrenheit.
20 Fahrenheit? Okay, that's minus something.
Yeah, it was minus. I'll tell you what, Joe, it was minus for sure. That's what it felt like because I work remote. I just wear shorts and a t-shirt, and I'm like, I'm just gonna run it out there. I'm not gonna put a coat on. Oh my god, I regretted it. But I was so mad because I remember thinking to myself, like, bro, when I was a kid growing up in Kansas on a farm, like in the middle of winter, I remember like this time of year, I would have to get up. I would have set an alarm at like 5 a.m. to get up to go walk down the hill to go break ice at the pond, so the cows could drink water. Like, otherwise they weren't drinking water. And I had to do that before I even got on the bus to go to school. Like, that just had to be done. And so, like, you can't even, like, get the trash outside, And I'm like, it was like, that's it? So I was like, bro, I guess kind of upset me. But, so I know the cold. And I don't know, maybe I'm a little too attached to the hate of cold from my childhood, having to break the pond water ice. But I get it. Cold, I respect that, too. The fact they showed up and you guys, like, kept the word. I mean, like, saying, hey, you guys are going to go through this. That's love, right? That's love for what you guys do. It's, like, appreciation for someone's time, which I think is the ultimate show of respect, right? You know, I don't care how
Exactly.
much money you make, what your job is, or where you're at. Like,
Yeah.
you show up here, you're investing your time, like, that means something. And so
Yeah.
to respect those people's time in that condition, I already, man, obviously you were in the right spot. Like, growing the community, it's not
I'm sorry.
no, you're good. It's not only 2 people now. It's obviously in an amazing state. So
Yeah.
what was that journey like? How did it go from being 2 to a large group?
Okay, so yeah, so we, I mean, in certain aspect, it could have been taken as a slight demotivation that we had only 2 people coming up, but we rather took it like positively, and then we hosted our next event. So in next event, we got somewhere around 15 to 20 people, like as expected, with the registration of 30, 35. I mean, we were still, because we were not in this area earlier, right? So we started getting how things work. The good part was those 2 folks again came on the next event.
That's nice. Yep. Yeah, they were committed,
So
right? Nice.
that was more than the motivation now, because one time, for the sake of courtesy, people can stay. They may like to talk about things and
Yeah.
stuff. But when they came again, that means there is some serious value we feel that we can create around it. And similarly, we had few more events. Eventually, fast forward, we were called by Google in Miami for a conference where it was pretty much
Okay.
also our grooming, you can call that way, or if you have any question how to conduct these things, or what objectives are, or if you have any question. It was a 3 days conference, well and good.
How
There
was
were a lot
that?
of learning.
Was was that your first time in Miami?
Yeah, it was my first
What
time
did you
in Miami.
think? What did you think? How did you get any downtime? Did you get to do anything outside of the conference or?
Yeah, it's like every day after 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. they
He was
run
like,
this
I'm
rule.
out.
Yeah, so that was the very purpose. Yeah, so the very
Is
idea
there
was that,
beaches?
yes,
Oh,
sorry.
dude.
Oh,
That's why I
the
asked.
hotel was right in front
Oh,
of the beach, right? You
did you
have
go? Did you surf?
no, I wish I could have, and I would love it, but I had never surfed prior to that, and like I don't come from a place which have like beaches, but it was amazing to see things over there, and
Yeah.
also the last day was like pretty much half day of a conference, and
Oh, nice.
yeah. So after you check out, pretty much the day was ours, right? So and that was the case over there. So in Miami, 2 things happened. One, of course, we loved Miami for whatever it is. Miami is Miami, right? So, but apart from what other people experienced, one was in terms of our community building activity
Okay.
during a regular lunchtime during the conference. I guess it was second day or third day, I don't remember. But we had people who were our leads over there, who were leading the entire community as such, and we were relatively new,
Yeah.
right? Because we were new chapters. There were chapters which were 5 years old, 10 years old, all kind of chapters, right?
Sure.
So we were trying to learn, understand from the structure. So we were like, I was there. I was asked about like, how do you see things going forward? So I said, no, it's good. I think we are scaling up very slowly. We are relatively new. Have done few events. Maybe next event I will try to do for like 100 people. Now, the response for that was because doing an event for 100 people, and Toronto and Canada was not the place primarily where for Google there was a lot of traction in the structure. So usually most of the chapters were not doing for a scale of 100. To be honest, we were not aware of what is the right number.
Yeah, like the
So
limits or yeah.
I had no reason to limit myself. I was just seeing the traction that okay, we started with 2, then 20, like that, so we can grow, right? So I said the next event I'm thinking we can do for like 100 folks. So somebody just told me, hey, your ambitions are good, but there are some practical. So I didn't understand why. I felt like I said something very natural based on our stats, but later on,
100. Yes, let's go for it.
yeah. So that was the only thing. Ambition. So, but it also had an element of disbelief that no, 100 people is like too much to look forward. You are new, and this structure doesn't face that many people. We have other chapters, right? So, and later on, other people on the table told me, hey, you said something which people will find it hard to believe.
Yeah.
Not only because you are new, because calling out 100 people in person is not a joke.
Yeah,
So,
right.
but
Especially
I
at a
said,
community event.
Yeah, so I said, but I said it now, so I'm captive of my statements. I have to, I have
Challenge
to now,
accepted. Yeah.
yeah, challenge accepted. Prior to that point, it was never a challenge. It was a very normal statement communicated out of whatever stats I'm seeing in
Yeah,
terms of the
yeah.
progress.
Growth,
Yeah,
passion.
it
Where are you
didn't.
going? Yeah.
Correct. It just came out naturally, but after it was said that okay, this is not doable in your space particularly, and then of course my friend and we, while we were coming at the airport, we were
Yeah.
discussing, hey, we said 100, now how we are going to do it, because it's not only about calling out like 100. Now we have to arrange a space for 100 people, we have to arrange the logistics for
Exactly.
100 people, we have to manage those 100 people in a room. It's very
Mm,
different from
mm.
managing 20 people or 5 people in a room than managing 100 people coming from different places, and then all the logistics involved. So I do understand why they said your ambitions are good, but
Yeah.
for practical reasons, right? So I did
Yep.
realize it. But anyway, the statement was already made. So at the airport itself, we found a date which is optimal for us, and we posted it, published it, that okay, capacity is 100, like that. The good part is we got the right traction. We got registrations of say 130 to 140 people as such. By that time, we knew that not everybody who's registering is
Yeah.
actually turning up. We knew already. So we definitely had to put some key takeaways, which we thought would be meaningful, because end of the day, we were constantly validating the time people are investing with us
Yeah.
Mhm.
is something valuable.
Mm,
Our team is
mm.
involved altogether. So
Yeah.
we articulated our agenda and the description of the event in such a way that every two lines you will find some value of your time. So that was meticulously done. And then, yes, I guess in the registration of, say, 140, some plus minus 2, 3, or whatever was the registration, we got some traction of 78 to 80 people, something like that.
Wow.
On top of
So
it,
impressive.
That's a good.
yeah.
That's a good transition, right? A good
Yeah, yeah,
turn.
yeah, yeah.
What do you call
So
it?
Over
Conversion.
50%. Yeah.
It's a good
yeah,
conversion
yeah,
right
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we were close to our 100 mark, because altogether, including volunteers, ourselves,
Mm.
everybody who is part of the building block, like
Yeah.
the entire event definitely had 100 plus folks,
Yeah.
right, as
Yeah.
such. So that gave kind of a confidence that if we don't bind ourselves with certain limitation that is coming as part of the wider structure, probably we can go much further.
Yeah.
So we started repeating it again and again. We did a lot of events, and at one point of time, Google, their media team, they decided that because we were the one who were hosting such big events and the longer events in North America at that point of time.
Mm.
So they decided that okay, they would like to cover us through their media channels. So they came with all their media folks and
Yeah.
everyone. They covered our events. So that's hosted. I mean, that's available on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
was projected for how a cloud study jam has to be conducted. That was our workshop format. So that was another big milestone for us, because that was a big recognition.
Yeah.
Our event
Yeah.
was chosen something to demonstrate the wider audience that how a community event looks like, right? And so that was a big sense of achievement in terms of what we were trying to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah. Can I? One thing that I was waiting to share when you were saying, your experience announcing that you won 100 people. It kind of reminded me the Big Bang Theory series. There's one episode that I think Leonard's going to present something, and then Penny is his girlfriend. He goes in the room, and she goes in the room, and she comes out and says, kind of sadly, "Oh, there's 20 people around, 20 people," and everybody, "Oh my God, this is so good!"
Yeah, right.
And she said, "Oh, I thought was just no, was not enough." "Oh, you don't understand. In our world, this means like 1,000 people. I don't know. This means a lot."
That's funny.
yeah.
Yeah, but man, it's so nice because moving to from 20 to 70, 100 people is such a big move. I believe when it comes to in person person events, because
Yeah.
I've been to one of these, to the smaller ones. The smaller, I would say, you know, around 100 people, to the bigger ones, you know, 1,000 plus people that you and your team has promoted, because they are so well organized. It's not just okay, you showed up for a couple of hours and then you go home. No, you go there, you have to go early, you sign up, you get your badge with your
Yeah.
name, you know, they print it up, you get some stuff, you get some goodies from Google, and there are the talks, the live sessions, you know, they have labs, you know, they because they are partnered with Google, they have the labs. So you sign in with your account. There are monitors, like people helping. Okay, if you don't get your account, they will go there and help you with, you know, signing up. And they walk you through the labs, and then there's break, there's coffee, there's pizza for lunch, and then when you go home, and in between they are, you know, giving prizes to whoever does it first, or whoever gives, you know, does it
Yeah.
faster. So they have all these goodies that they shared. I got a cup of them for myself. And in the end, you have the certificate that you were there, or maybe a certification from Google.
Yeah.
So it's not just like the events that we do, because
Yeah, it's true.
Vimo, you know, while you were talking, I try to not compare, but to draw a line between what you do with Google and what we do with UiPath,
Yeah.
because it kind of relates, right? But you do such a more complex work because you do in person with a lot of levels of more complexity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine how much work that is. I just can't, man. It's out of my mind.
To be honest, at the beginning we were not aware of it, and that's why possibly we were so much confident that yes, we can do everything. Because if everything would have been brought on our vision that okay, these are all things we have to take care, probably some slight hesitation may have came. So sometimes not knowing the challenges good enough is also okay, because you yourself
Right?
you expose yourself to whatsoever is coming up, and everything is a challenge now. That's true, Joel. A broader part of what we do is, apart from technology, is not technology stuff. And our team, people, volunteers, people we thrive with, none of them are event management people, right? None of them has
Um,
that kind of a skill or things. But as we grow up, as I told earlier, right, doing an event of few people together is a very different experience. Then you scale up to like 100. It's not just like 10 times, like 10 people to 100 people is not 10 times, it's more than that. Similarly, if you scale to 1,000, there is another diaspora of problems and challenges that we will have to face. But the good part is we grew very organically. It was every time we had learnings, and we had certain mitigation plans for that. So every time you are adding few more to it, brick by brick, and slowly we are able to leverage the platform. A couple
yeah.
of instances I would want to say, because in every event we used to call out that okay, who for whom this event is for. Don't think like it is just a technology event, and if even if it is, particularly because we were talking more on the cloud and AI and machine learning, and people will think, okay, this is the state of our technology we are talking about, so probably I'm not the right audience for it. But we used to communicate, no, it's for everyone. Literally,
Hmm.
if you are existing on this planet, you are the right candidate to know about it, because you are impacted in one other way. So
Exactly.
one example, I had one of my friend who is a doctor, and he runs a campaign for cancer awareness. So he got to know about what we are doing, and he wanted to say, hey, I need 10 minutes of your slot. I want to present something to your audience, because this is for a good cause. And I personally am a believer of creating value out of those causes as
Yeah.
well. So I said, why not? 10 minutes is not a big deal, we can definitely squeeze in. So he did came at the beginning. I had the opportunity to introduce him. He talked about whatever campaign he wanted to do, and after that, since he could not talk to me that point of time because mornings are like really busy when you start the event and stuff like that, just so that in lunch hour he can catch up and we can spend some time, he chose to stay. And when he chose to stay, he was a doctor, it was a technology event. He had the laptop, he got interested, let me also try what they're doing. Anyway, he has to spend few hours there, right?
Yeah.
He actually completed, he was among first few people who completed it. And by end of the day, I was able to give an example. See, we had a doctor unplanned, it was not his day, he came for an agenda, he came
Case
for a
study.
purpose, very noble purpose, he did it. And beyond that, whatever time he had, he had utilized, and he has completed something which is technical. So that is what we are
Yeah.
trying to say. So we were able to project a very live demonstration of something that we were pitching about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
man.
and we still tell these stories whenever somebody asks a question during the event that, hey, I come from marketing. Do you think I am a real fit for this event? You are a much better fit. You are rather more better candidate because you need to understand technology more than others. You are technology consumer.
Exactly.
Now, what you should be consuming in and what caution you will be taking in, where you need to stop. This is the best place because for technology folks, they will have a lot of other resources, a lot of other areas. For you, there could be endless YouTube, Coursera, and whatnot. You don't know where to start, where to stop. At least
Exactly.
what we have here is a very structured method, and this was validated by a couple of more interaction we had, because when we started doing it, we also observed we have very senior folks from industry joining in, like the VPs, directors, senior
Oh.
managers, and we were surprised why are they coming in a classroom like this, because we also have students over there, we
Mm-hmm.
also have
Yeah.
undergrads, we also have grads and stuff, and we do say that this is for everybody. Like there's no age limitation, there's
Yeah.
nothing, there's no limitation as such.
Yeah.
Like that, right? So we eventually during catch up time we spoke to them that, hey, we are very happy that you all have came here, but just curious, why are you here? What's your objective? I'm pretty sure you're not going to go back in code. So what they said was very interesting and motivating for us. They said that every day I have to deal with many vendors and their representatives, many service providers, many products or services, whatnot. All those are evolving technologies. Now, I cannot keep going to colleges to learn or understand everything. I do not want to spend a lot of time on YouTube where I really don't know what is my scope to understand it, right? There's tons of
Yeah.
information, like too much information even to know what is the right information, right? So they choose to come something as a structured, confined in a daytime where they can
Mm-hmm.
also interact and talk about it to the
Mm.
point where they actually need. So 2 hours spending time to find the right content, probably they can ask this question in another 5-10 minutes. So that was their view. And they said, now I have only enough confidence. That's what I come for, where I go back to my boardroom. Now I can take a more confident decision when I'm talking to the vendors and service providers. I can talk to them on the
Yeah.
subject matter. I will understand their lingo. They will understand that I am so there won't be a disconnect in that conversation that they want to have, right? So we felt okay, that's great, and we saw the value. And a very interesting byproduct we saw in this was, now you have a undergrad in the room, you have somebody who is just going to graduate, you also have a very senior set of people over there, you also have like volunteers who are assisting them to do the task, like who could be a student as such. Now the kind
Mm-hmm.
of networking possibility that comes out of this situation is immense, because you have a good balance of riser to people, where somebody, I mean, if you see from the networking point of view, a professional networking point of view, it's a great opportunity, right? Because
Wow.
everybody has something to look for.
I can,
Especially with
I,
that variety. The
I
variety
can
of the.
vouch. Yeah, I can vouch on the networking on these events because I myself was benefited from that. I don't know if you know that demo. I think I told you, but on the Google Dev Fest,
Mhm.
I was there with my daughter, just hanging out. You know, shared me the invitation, and I was living in the greater Toronto area, so it's not that much of a commute for me.
Mm.
And I went there with my daughter, and I was just watching the sessions, and now all of the sudden this guy approached me. Hey, nice to meet you. My name is whatever. What do you do? And then I wasn't even prepared. You know, I just pitched what I was doing and what I blah blah blah. Nice to meet you. And he would look at me. Oh, that's nice to know, because we are just working on a new program here at George Brown. And then I came to know that he was actually the CEO of George Brown, and they were
They call it dean in that space. Yeah.
yeah, and they were creating a new program, and this guy introduced me to a couple of other guys, and that was how I got a new gig. And
There you
right
go.
now I am a professor at George Brown because of that, because of one of these events. Because then I started working with them, creating the curriculum and building up the material, and the course went live, the program went live last year. And this semester, earlier this year, January, I started lecturing. So now I became a professor.
Ah, scary. No.
Yeah.
We're on kids. No.
Because of the Dev
The
Fest.
networking, and it's to your point too, right? I mean, if there weren't people who felt that this was valuable outside of just being able to code as a hard skill, obviously he wouldn't have had that opportunity, right? How would it have
Yeah.
ever came if people outside of the tech space didn't have an event like this to go to, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
no, I think that's great. That's great. That's
But
great.
one thing that I am very curious, because you've been running with your folks this chapter, Toronto chapter, for a few years already, right?
Yeah.
4 to 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more than 5 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you've been in touch with Google for that period, and learning from them. Um, but one thing that I'm interested is, how are the changes? How are you seeing the changes? Because we on UiPath, we see a lot of changes,
Yeah.
especially with AI, agents, agentic. So agentic is the new word right now, the
Mm-hmm.
new term. So how are you seeing these changes from 2019, 2020
Yeah.
up to this point, when it comes to Google and their tools, their features, and the cloud computing as a whole? What are your perspective on that? Or
So
AI?
no,
AI is also
absolutely.
a new term,
Yeah.
not so
No, no,
new.
no, absolutely. Because we have seen things. It's pretty much about what the trend is. Uh, when what the trend is about, and people's curiosity to learn about things. The objectives could be different. We may have a vast amount of people whose objective is to be relevant in the industry, right? To keep themselves updated with whatsoever is happening. That's one of my primary objectives as well. Like many people ask me, why do you do it? Like there are a
Yeah.
number of reasons I may be doing it, but one of the reason is that if anything new happens in this planet, I want to be among the first one to know about it, to understand to my abilities. I might not be able to understand a lot, but whatever my ability allows, I should be knowing it, and I should be the one deciding that, okay, fine, let me not dig it further, or I should be the one who should decide, okay, this is the one thing I want to take it further, right? So that's my objective, and there are many people like me who are part of it. So how we are driven is pretty much by two things. One, the trend that we see, we have the leverage from Google that we can decide what our community needs. They always propagate that you are the one who sends what your local chapter needs, what Toronto demands, what GTA demands, and you come up with those plan and stuff will support you. So that's a great support from Google, no doubt on that. At the same time, there are some guiding principles laid out every now and then based on what
Sure.
Google feels about what's coming up, because they have more uh, ways to find out how the traction would be, and they are also they are also a structure who can influence in their own ways. If they want wider audience to think about a certain direction, they can. So irrespective of what is the final objective, there is always a trend, and we do follow the trend. We see when we see interest, a lot of interest in certain things, like fast for last 1 year, most of the things that we are doing, we have an infusion of AI for sure. Even if we are talking about something which was a regular conventional technology thing, for example, DevOps principles and all, we do talk about how AI or AI related principles or understanding is going to impact our understanding of DevOps and how it's going to infuse. And we have seen that happening in the actual tools as well. If you talk about, say, Datadog as one of the tools used for DevOps or SRE work, they have used a lot of AI functionalities, which is helping people altogether. So people are so much into it. It's I have started calling AI is not something that's a future thing now. It's happening now. It's just happening.
Yeah,
It's
that's
around
very
us
true.
everywhere. So now it's no more a situation where you are thinking that, okay, if I learn AI today, maybe after 5 years I will be irrelevant. You will be irrelevant if you don't talk about it. I'm not really saying to get into all the studies of LLM and stuff like that. All I'm saying is that be aware of your surrounding, what's happening around. So AI is definitely a thing, no doubt about that.
Yeah, yeah.
True.
That's very true. Jeremy, you wanna?
No, I was just saying. I agree. You gotta. You and I were kind of talking about this too. I have so many questions, right? That's the only thing that always sucks about these sessions. We never have enough time to go through all the questions. Sometimes there's points in these conversations where I consider like accidentally disabling Joe's camera and saying, "Oh, he's got to reconnect," and then I can just ask his questions for him. But I'm never that devious. But I mean, outside of one question I did want to add, which is just a quick question. When Google came down and they shot all that content for your event, did your chapter get to use that for marketing after that, or was it something
No,
like?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
Cool,
yeah. We
cool,
do. We
cool.
do
That's
use it.
awesome.
It's in our most of our event promotions when we have
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
When
that's cool.
we have a reference to what all stuff like what we are, we do refer it. I mean, we use it very organically. We also use it as what our promotion could be, and because this is something good about us, and we definitely want to talk about, right?
Yeah,
We because when we say at this point of time, again, it's not at all about individually me or my friend who probably
yeah,
could have initiated it. It's pretty much about a wider community who is supporting it further.
yeah,
I have
yeah.
pool of, say, almost 100 volunteers who are willing to,
Yep,
based on their availability, to give their time,
yep.
energy. Now this is also a recognition for their effort. So even if personally I'm not much into uh, getting that particular recognition stuff, I have a pool of people who will be valued because their work is being valued, right?
Yeah,
So I do talk out very loud about it. It's not about individual few folks now. It's about hundreds and hundreds of folks who have made it happen.
yeah.
So for sure, at this point of time, when we are doing, we are talking about thousands people of event and stuff like that. It's not just two of us. That was the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
Now,
and, and
let me. I want to kind of pivot here too because I want to kind of pick your brain for a second. You've got almost half a decade here in building communities on what was the forefront of search and obviously a big player in cloud space now. But I want to take your brain and kind of go to the professor thing, right? And use your ability to theorize. You see where AI is headed, and obviously GPT took a big whack out of Google from a search perspective. I don't know what AWS and the other players are doing from a cloud storage perspective, but obviously now you have what is it called? Deep Fake? No, Deep Shark or whatever, the new one that basically a newer version
Deep
of
Seek.
DeepSeek. Yeah, I'm just
Deep
making a
Seek.
joke, but it's basically the new guy who's just chopping these kinds of things, right? From your perspective, again, going back to the theory thought professor, where do you see this space playing out, and what do you see Google's role in it? As just like what do you theorize there? Are they going to be staying into the cloud space? Is that their play? Is search dead? Are they going into agents? What do you theorize here? I'm interested.
Okay, so when we have organizations like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, IBM, they are well structured organizations. And here I will not talk only about Google because like I'm
Yeah, yeah.
only associated. I will talk about this diaspora in general
Sure.
and technology in general as well. Okay, so on that note, all these organizations now have a very different method of working that I mean, I take responsibility for what I'm saying here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there
That's
was a
a
time,
disclaimer. This is his
yeah,
theories and not the theories of Google or his clan.
yeah.
This is his theories alone. So yes.
Yeah, so you usually put that disclaimer even in our events as such that though Google is our technology partner, they are our primary sponsor, but anything that is being said or said, Google holds no responsibility because end of the day
Yes.
it's a community chapter. It's us which is
Exactly.
driving it based on our understanding of Google. So
Yeah.
no way it should be correlated with what Google thinks about it or any other organization thinks about it. But we as IT professionals, we may have our understanding, which may be right or wrong. People may agree or disagree.
Yeah.
So, having said this disclaimer, I will
Love it.
like to I would like to put a few things into perspective. So, what our understanding currently is many years back, say a couple of decades back, there was an unique concept of competitive market when it comes to technology advancement. Like if there's one organization A, organization B, they will compete with each other by doing same things and trying to make it better. Now, still there is a competition, but it's more collaborative. What it means is that if company A develops something and company B help develop that yet, they will use A for making something different, something new case study, or in somebody may say better as well as such. And company A allows that to happen by making it open source,
Yeah.
right? So if we talk about machine learning, again, I will not talk about the very specific name of those
Sure.
technology advancements, but if you talk about technology, say for example, machine learning, if you try to deep dive, like how did it all started, who started making something which was a base, which is a base for now for other companies to take it further. So this collaborative competition is much fruitful because now companies are not wasting time on doing same thing with a wider workforce, a lot of money, energy, and brain
Yeah.
is involved in doing. Rather, they take it as a base and take to the next level. That's why we
Yeah.
see more and more things are
It's
coming up, and
accelerating. Yeah.
yes, it's coming up. So so there is a competition, but there is also collaboration. There is also a sense of appreciation for a competitor company what they are doing. They want to compete with each other, no doubt on that, but they do appreciate by using it, right? If I'm a competitor company and if I use something which my other competitor has made, I'm really appreciating the work. That's why I'm using it in other way.
Can
So
I? Can I? I
Yeah,
just,
man.
I just want to crack some joke here. Do you think DeepSeek is appreciating ChatGPT for?
yeah.
Do you think they send an appreciation card? Oh, thank you for all the data you provided me for to train my model.
And
Man.
on the same note,
Open
Joel,
AI, right?
yeah. So on the same note, Joel, other thing which this mature organization have to do because they have a legacy to maintain as such is to making sure that they are part of all the regulation across the globe.
Yeah.
The regulation, whether it comes
Yeah,
from Europe, whether it comes from North America or from Asia, anywhere. So sometimes they can do a lot of advancement, but they have to measure every step whether it aligns with the regulation in not only one geography, more than one geography,
exactly.
because put it out. So
Yeah,
what you will see the possibilities in a lab environment could be different from what you see in the market. There could be a disconnect between them.
but
Now,
the regulations. I'm sorry to cut you off, but the regulations. I know they have to pay attention to that, but taking from UiPath example, like they should, I don't know if they should or not, but they could, obey to all the regulations, but they don't, right? They create all this amazing stuff, very interesting features. We saw last year on UiPath Forward, and we see this, in a weekly basis with the community as well. They are deploying, they are enabling new features every week or every month, but they are not necessarily most worried with regulations. They create new stuff, and then it's up to whoever is consuming that stuff to, okay, I am using UiPath to create new agents or whatever, but I am a financial institution, so should I actually use this? I
So,
think I think
mhm.
the it depend. I don't know how it is with Google, because Google is such a omnipresent
Yeah.
company, corporation. It's everywhere. It's different than UiPath,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I don't know.
So
It's a
on
thin line,
I will
right?
take forward your example, Joel, because we are talking about UiPath here, right? So if I develop something out of UiPath for my needs or my organization or my team, that is one area. Like I may apply what I feel is right, but if I
Hmm.
have to take the same UiPath module and make it available off the shelf across the globe,
Hmm.
the consideration on regulation has to be different than what I did in
I
house.
bet. Yeah. Yeah.
So when many a times you will, and I would rather call it a lab environment in a way.
Yeah.
You might be using it, but it is confined to a certain audience. So your possibility of being cautioned on regulation gets limited. However, it's always recommended, for any big organization or any organization who is aligned with the to stay regulated. I'm not
Yeah.
saying everywhere it's true, but the regions what I foresee is who is your audience, how much is your audience. The more your audience would be, there will be more possibility to get cautioned or get caught or even penalized in a certain way. Uh, Drawing the relevance to what we do when we do an event with 10 20 people, and that is where it's still a closed knit, right? There is a lot of space to slip in slip out here and there when we
Yeah.
are talking about things. But when you are having, say, 1,000 people in the room, we have to be very very meticulously aware of the decorum of the room. We have a
Hmm.
variety of people, we have so many category of mindset over there, so we have to be more aligned to other guidelines and regulation. I mean, that applies to us as a community when we have some content exchange as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, we can draw those relevance in our own space wherever we are involved in.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Jeremy, any thoughts? Because I do have some shifts here that I want to put on the line, but I want to hold for your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I don't have any questions, so I'll let you jump in. My only just call out too is what Mo said on the chat is that um, some organizations are at least considering how this technology integrates within the stack, right? If we're talking about agents themselves, I'm very bullish on the future of this agent technology. I think it's going to be business model changing. I think it's going to be that foundationally impactful. But yeah, I don't. What were your thoughts, Joe? You got obviously some questions or some slices you wanted to take there.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to shift from this AI perspective. This is such a great conversation. I love, one thing, Vimo, that Jeremy and I have been, struggling, not struggling, but we just love to put this out there. How much AI is going to change the way we work, and we know to some extent is going to change. Is already changing, as you said earlier. It's not a matter of when it's going to change. It's already here, right? But how do you see our world, like as a developer, as a system analyst, as a business analyst, or as a solution provider, whatever IT role that is? How do you
So
see that in the future, like
I
in 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
so and since we are not only in working on technology and that being our bread and butter, we are also involved in talking a lot of things about technology. So based on all the exposure I had so far, understanding built and all the question exchanges and information, couple of things, and this is one of the most common thought everybody has, like about AI, how it's going to change it, is it going to take away jobs and stuff like that, all the fear around it or all the good thoughts around it. I will be equally bullish as Jeremy is on this thought. AI is not going to take away the jobs, for sure, not at all. It's going to create jobs. That would be my first chance. And whenever I will say that, there would be a group of people who will be disagreeing, and I will honor their disagreement. And the reasons are as follow. One, whatever job we are doing, as you mentioned, as an analyst, as somebody who is doing digital media marketing or stuff, right? Somebody who is creating a content out of something. So many jobs may appear, and which will be gone. That's true.
Yeah.
But the people are not going to go jobless because there are tons of things to be done, which is not done. They never got the priority. So let machines do what they are capable of. There are so many things machines can do where human has to involve. Now, what is the basic skill of a human, which makes it different from a non-living being or even a computing body as such?
What's that?
Computation, computers can do better. So none of us are calculating on paper nowadays, either calculator, not even calculator, your computer, mobile phone device, whatnot, right? So we are not complaining about that now. This concern is not new. Like in early 90s or even late 80s, when this computer thing, IT thing was coming up, I guess everybody was complaining about the same thing. Now, the kind of jobs that has been generated by this IT coming into picture is immense, right? So the jobs will transform into different nature. Your tasks are going to change, but your job will stay as long as we are ready to comply in certain aspects. Of course, some of us will have to comply more. That means they will have to learn more compared to others, which may be relatively unaffected.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you off again, but I kind
He's
of,
fired up, man. He loves it.
no, I have to disagree with you because I will give you one example. It's not related to AI. It's related to, I don't know, maybe innovation. Here in North America, when we go to the gas station, mostly 99.99% is self-serve. You go there,
Yes.
Oh,
you
bro.
park your car, and you gas up your car. Back in Brazil, and this is an example that I know very well. There's no such a thing. We are not allowed. Seriously, we are not allowed to fill up our gas by ourselves. There's a server by law that has to do that. It's
It's like,
serious.
is that legal? Like legislation, like protected job or
There's a
what?
law. There's a legislation that says there's someone has to do that for you. What I heard is to protect jobs. Let's think for a second that there was no such a thing. Thousands of jobs would be gone immediately, right? So
I can answer that.
yeah,
I can
please.
answer that. So pretty much this is what I feel is this is not a technology or technology related question. It's a political question because
It is a technology question for sure.
no, I will tell you why. I will tell you why I feel it is a political question. The inability of any governance to generate the relevant job will end up retaining something which is must for them, because if they don't do so, these people will say, hey, I don't have a job, what should I do? Now they don't have an answer, what should you do?
Mm-hmm.
The problem is there nothing to innovate in this planet now? I will again give you an analogy of a situation I got similarly. Like as I told, right? In my college, by the way, if I haven't told in this podcast, I teach technology to non-technology folks. They are from healthcare. That means they are doctors, dentists, radiologists, people who are working in health industry altogether. And a group of doctors, I believe, they had this question about the jobs and stuff like that. So I told them that, like, because they were in healthcare, there are so many problems in healthcare that will not
So
solve.
many, so many.
Fine, if give let machines do what they are doing right now and let them do more things.
Yeah.
Can we focus on Alzheimer's?
I think
My mom has Alzheimer's, and I
yeah,
know
yeah, yeah.
how I am desperate to have a solution for that. Who is going to bring this solution?
I
Will
agree
machine
with
build
that,
the
dude.
solution? They will, with help of humans. So why are we not engaging humans in solving those problems where humans are needed? The very common, the primary USP of human is to think, is to be creative,
Yeah,
is to imagine,
I
right?
agree.
The machines have not reached over there yet. Whatever we see in the deep think and deep dreams and stuff, there are still algorithms as such, in a way. We have a lot of things to solve. Unless we focus on those, we won't be able to solve it. Now, coming back to your question, Joel, specifically, that's the temporary thing. That's the
Mm-hmm.
situational thing, right? If and that could happen to your kids as well. Say, for example, as a parent, your duty is to expose your kids to everything that possibly they can do.
Yeah.
Now, if you get yourself into a limitation for any reason, whether it's thoughts limitation, whether it's a financial limitation or whatnot, you will start telling them to do certain things only. That
Yeah.
happens in many part of the geography. I come from a geography where it happens quite often, where parents tell their kids what to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's a social problem. I cannot really correlate that, and they do it from all from the right intent to safeguard their child's future, and they tell them, okay, you should be doing this or you should be doing that. Now, in a world where we want to have every kid as an option to do whatever they want to do and bring value out of it, if we are not able to create that ecosystem, we start limiting it. So that is how I see it. If can the people who are supposed to be in a gas station, can they be trained enough? And I can help that. In Brazil, I can
Yeah, now let
set
me.
up events. So
I gotta.
we can onboard them
Hey,
on cloud and
it.
AI.
What's very interesting is that apparently in Oregon, here in the U.S., that's a thing too. In the chat, it says in Oregon, it's a law that those jobs are protected too. But we also in the chat have an opinion that AI will 100% take jobs but create jobs, and people will lose their jobs due to AI, but probably will not have the skill. And it goes back to what you said, right? At the end of the day, and first of all, God bless your mother. I want to make sure that that's been stated. And what I'll say, in my opinion, in both of these scenarios is, and I believe this firmly, is that the terrible diseases like this, or the person that was going to create the disease was killed in war, or they were busy pumping somebody's gas because they didn't have an opportunity to go to med school. And that's the potential that you leave behind by trying to save the last group. And I do, now that I've heard sort of both sides of the fence, I do think that that's a political issue, right? It's a part of the system to help, give those people new opportunities and convert those situations. Because at the end of the day, I don't even want to open up this big can of worms, right? But at the end of the day, I don't think we get off this damn rock unless we start maximizing our potential, right? I think our species dies on this planet unless we start getting rid of all the people who have to flip fries and really start using our brains to do that kind of stuff, right? I think that's a big important question.
But I do get the let's put it this way. The server on the gas station, I get the idea. Done. But now let me
fire
bring
him,
another
Jesus,
example.
Joe, stop.
I love to
I'm
put
not sure
kindling
how
in the
much time
fire.
you have got, but I have a list of examples to talk about. So I can take case by case, and we can go to.
He's ready.
Okay.
He's locked and loaded. Don't go there,
Okay.
Joe. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I know we are over time already, but I need to bring this up.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Okay, gas station server, I get it. But now all these producers and actors and people there were working on the filmmaking for commercials, for even movies, that AI is essentially creating in a fraction of the cost. And of course, sometimes the quality is not there, but for the purpose, and they are replacing the real people behind the jobs. So those jobs are going to be replaced.
Okay,
There's no
so,
question about that. So, and the skills, just hold on a second.
Sorry, no, we're hands are off the
I'm
keyboard.
not my seat
Hands are off the
And-
keyboard. Yeah, beers in
Oh,
the
man.
hand. Sorry.
And the skills are there because, like, writers, producers, actors, they do have the skills, but they are just not going to have jobs. So what about that? What about them?
Um, I will say something which may sound very mm, um, blunt and
Mhm.
controversial, or rude as well as in a way. I will say I do not believe in jobs as such. I do not believe there should be any concept of job as such. Very first time in the human civilization, when somebody was just thriving for having food, clothing, and what we call, yeah, food, clothing at the max, and probably socializing or whatnot. Somebody thought, let me paint something that was not needed by the world. Nobody was asking you paint something and show me something which is invisible, right?
Mm-hmm.
That point of time, painting was not a job. That was a passion. People did because they loved doing it. And now when we have this colleges, schools, we are training people to do things and people doing it like a job. The very moment you call it a job, what it means is that we are trying to tell people what to do, step one, step two, step three, in a very, very monotonous way. And then you get your bread and butter so that you survive. Now, if this is
Mm-hmm.
the idea of life, by creating a lot of jobs, we are creating a lot of monotonous humans who are taking birth, who are spending their life in a certain way, are able to experience life in their own ways. But end of the day, the very essence of life is to create value,
Yeah, that's.
to bring something new. If we are taking away for a very, very, see, 7.5 billion people in the planet, how many
Mhm.
of them are actually find their life fulfilling?
Mhm.
See the list of the people who are in the job and not at all happy about it, or not at all happy just to survive. They are doing it. Let's visualize, and I will go a little bit hypothetical here. Let's visualize, out of 7 billion people in this planet, say for example, food is sorted. You mentioned producers at the beginning, and I want to take a note of it. So many people on this planet go hungry. They don't have 3 meals a day. Forget,
Mhm.
some many of them don't have 1 meal a day. So
Yep.
we are not producing enough. That's for sure. Or even
Yeah.
if you are producing, because there's a value in that produce, probably it is accumulated at some place and it is not being available to other place, right?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
Distribution.
abundance of this is gonna make one thing for sure. Question is, if we are really good enough in producing, why are people dying out of hunger?
Yeah.
Right? Why are people shivering? Right now in Canada, if you go to downtown, I just came back from office. I see people do not
Mhm.
have all the right clothing. We are talking about a developed
And
nation. Well, we are
yeah.
not talking about like developing countries or
But
underdeveloped. We are talking
this
about a
is
developed
the
country.
but this is the paradox, right? And that's why I get to wrap us up here, and because I got the end the stream button, you know, I got the nuke button, so I get the last say. So no
Yeah, yeah,
matter
yeah,
what,
yeah,
but
yeah,
no,
yeah.
my thought here is that even though I'm completely with you on this theory of jobs too, right? I mean, to be honest, anybody with a paid job should thank their ass because our species for thousands of years was fighting just to not starve or be eaten in their sleep, right? And so just having a job, and you know, that's a modern day problem. And I think that, you know, we should be evolving with the times. But your problem is the same. The solution is the same as the problem, right? And I'll sum it up with this thought: I don't want AI making my art and writing my songs. I want AI washing my dishes and folding my clothes. I'm saying that as third world case, but you know, I want AI solving the world's problems where it should be,
Yeah.
figuring out distribution. And that's a bigger issue, right? And so, you
Exactly.
know, I tell you all the time, Joe, I think that we got this big fancy technology, but like a bunch of cavemen, we're running around with sticks of dynamite ready to blow our hands off when we could be doing, you know, blowing holes in mountains and creating paths for those goods that need to be delivered. But anyway, beautiful segue.
Hey,
I love how I tied it.
wow.
Joe,
Wow.
Joe, what do you got? What are your thoughts here to wrap us up, man? What do you got?
Oh man, we could stay here for another few hours
Yeah,
for
we could.
sure.
Yeah,
For
we
sure,
could. I
yeah.
You
love these
know,
topics.
I had so many other things that I want to talk, but I know we all have our own families and we have to go and to be with them. Uh, so I don't want to throw any other curveballs, even though I have so many for you, Vimo. But yeah, man, I just want to shout out for the people on the stream. Like the chat's been quite awesome. I was engaging with them while I was not talking. So thank you for you guys. I love it. I love it. So
Thank
love
you.
the engagement. And Vimo, man, Wow, what a pleasure to have you here.
Yes.
Your mind's such, is such a brilliant mind, and I
agreed.
just thank you for, spending the time with us. And as I told you, this was just a hanging out, with some friends, and I enjoyed every second of our
Likewise,
session.
Jeremy.
Do you have any final
I will
thoughts?
just leave the dance with one use case which came to my mind in the first few seconds when the session started.
Yeah.
When Jeremy's mic was not working and I can see his lip syncing, I thought AI bot could have read that and displayed on the machine. So I have a use case. That's my takeaway from this session. Somebody can work on that. If people listening to the podcast, they can bring something that's needed in this planet. So there is a job.
There you go. One use case, somebody get on it. But May, before we wrap this up, is there any adventure that you're a part of that you want to shout out before we get out of here? Anything you're hosting in the Toronto area coming up? Any workshops?
We have something coming in March. That will be a typical cloud workshop event, and in month of April end or early May, we will have Google I/O extended. Wow. That means Google I/O is happening in the US, in Las Vegas, and we have Google Next happening and then Google I/O happening, and we will be doing a similar event here. So I don't have dates for them right now, but the moment the spring starts, we will have a lot of events coming up, both workshops and conference style. So, and yes, you are in the guest list already.
Beautiful, beautiful.
We'll try to be there.
There we go. I know Joe's gonna get there. I'll send him a camera and make him take videos. But anyway, Joe.
Okay.
Another week, my friend.
Oh, another one.
Another one.
Towards the 52 episodes.
52 episodes. Thank you so much to the guys. P-Wall, thank you so much, sir. We gotta get him back in again. We gotta have him back in. Let's get them out of here to the end show. All right, I promise you, Joe. I promise you, I'm muting you.
Am I mute? Can I say dumb stuff now?